Welcome to you. It's already the middle of March 2025. Appreciate you being here, appreciate your time. We're going to dive right in. You're listening to a woman who is being persecuted for righteousness' sake. And she has been attempting to communicate with, the wicked. And the wicked are a certain kind that are basically poisonous. So we're the peculiar people. We're righteous men and women who are on a mission to teach life and life more abundantly. So this is what we do. This is how we're trained. So Jesus goes on to explain being one of the peculiar people, being a foreign ambassador who's still in the business of choosing foreign diplomats. Well, they've got eyes, but those eyes don't see. And they've got ears, but those ears don't hear. Isaiah, again, one of the peculiar people, a foreign ambassador. This is what you need to know about the truth. You have to have 2 or 3 witnesses of the truth to establish the truth. Jesus, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. Those are men of truth. They're talking about this. Right? Like we're trying to deal with the walking dead. Do you have any idea how frustrating that is to try to converse with the dead when you're one of the living? And it's the dead who come after the living. Blind guides. They haven't been blessed with a mind to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear. You will ever be hearing but never understanding. Trying to talk to one of the cursed when you're one of the righteous is like pounding your head against a brick wall until your eyes are black and blue. This woman has been attempting this for years. She has to. She has to say something, or she becomes guilty of aiding and abetting. She becomes party to the offenses. This is why we say something. Oh, and then of course we have these pathetic, profane, poisonous politicians everywhere. The modern day Pharisee. Oh, we are rich, aren't we? We've grown wealthy and need nothing. Oh dear, you don't even know what's going on, do you? We see what you are. You're wretched, you're pitiful, you're poor, you're blind, and you're naked. Righteous conduct becomes clothing. So here we go. We are trying to converse with the wicked. Here is correspondence that's gone out recently on March the 12th. A righteous woman is trying to shove the truth down the throats of those who are seeking to end this woman's life. Every correspondence is part of a safety pack created to protect the common law inalienable rights and life of a woman in need of protection, a woman fighting for her life. We have a name, but we are not that name. Do you understand how the legal world works? The world of the dead, for the dead, by the dead, that everything is dead. It's all about money. We don't live in that world. Current sea. Jesus walks on the water. Why? Because he is above the current. He's above the current sea. We don't worship mammon. We don't worship idols. So there's a male around here who's identifying itself as a mayor. Now, my mayor is supposed to be a peace officer. Supposed to be. I'm not sure how much research you've done on mayors in Canada, but many of them are corrupt. Many of them are involved in organized crime. And at this point, we are satisfied that every single agency identifying itself as federal, provincial, or municipal government is, in truth, a criminal organization. Mr. Murdoch, acting as mayor for District of Saanich, are you aware that you are in violation of your oath of office to uphold the Constitution of Canada, a promise to protect life and property contrary to... Well, it's a breach of trust. Every official who, in connection with the duties of their office, commits fraud or a breach of trust, whether or not the fraud or breach of trust would be an offense if it were committed in relation to a private person. Okay, you can't be a person. Whether natural, whether artificial, whether private, a person is a thing. A person has no eyes, it has no ears, it has no mouth, it has no brain. So do you see how everything that the warped and the wicked have written up, it only applies to the dead? We are satisfied, Mr. Murdoch. August the 29th, 2024, you and your friends did fabricate false charges against a foreign diplomat. We don't correct our status. We express our status. It's the international law. It's the doctrine of self-determination. You have to know who you are. A woman in need of protection, an offense contrary to fabricating evidence. Everyone who, with intent to mislead, fabricates anything with intent that it shall be used as evidence in a judicial proceeding existing or proposed by any means other than perjury. So they fabricated evidence, like they laid false charges that this innocent woman who owns property in the District of Saanich is criminally harassing the male in possession of property obtained by crime, which is a crime. And then she needed, she has a right to protect her property, which they had premeditated to be there and rob from her. They're claiming that her inalienable right to protect her property is willfully resisting and obstructing. Again, they're fabricating evidence. They're trying to use the satanic system to tie this woman up and tie this woman down. You and your friends did commit the offense of public mischief, contrary to public mischief. Everyone commits public mischief who, with intent to mislead, causes a peace officer to enter on or continue an investigation by making a false statement that accuses some other person of having committed an offense. That's exactly what they're doing. That's public mischief. And this is exactly what this Benji Howe and this Sandy Dennis are doing. They're guilty of public mischief. And then you've got females acting as the bench and pretending to be the BC prosecution who are also guilty of public mischief. And that goes for the persons who are pretending to be defense counsel. All of them guilty of public mischief. You and your friends did commit the offense of compounding indictable offenses, contrary to every person who asks or obtains or agrees to receive or obtain any valuable consideration for themselves or any other person by agreeing to compound or conceal an indictable offense is guilty. So what is going on here? So they're hiding the truth that land is stolen property. Benji Howe and Sandy Dennis are collecting rent. That is a crime. They're impersonating landlords. Then you've got defense counsel, right? Persons impersonating a living woman. They're receiving, they're getting fucking paid. They're getting fucking paid to lie their fucking faces off. And that goes for the benchers and the females pretending. We're pretending to, well, we're the public. Yeah. We don't represent the police or the victim. We represent the public. So the public is going to take the stand and falsely accuse a foreign diplomat? Is that what's going on here? Is that what you're planning? You're premeditating all of this? They're all doing it. This woman even says to the female trying to impersonate her, "You're going to get paid for all of this?" Yes, certainly am. That's why we're threatening a trial. That's why we're threatening a trial, so we can make maximum fucking income off running a malicious prosecution. Aren't you fucking cute? Are you aware the oath of office holds public servants accountable when they violate, infringe, or deprive our people of common law, constitutionally protected and guaranteed rights? Are you aware once inviolable rights are violated, there is no valid claim of immunity, as such would be fraud? Oh, you understand that, right? In the code, in the statutes, these servants actually falsely believe they're immune because they're falsely identifying as peace officers, and peace officers are immune. You see how sick and twisted the tares are? You see how sick and twisted the wicked are? Constantly acquitting the guilty, constantly acquitting themselves from the filth that they do and the filth that they are. You putting up with this? You shouldn't be. We're not going to put up with this. We have a voice, we will be heard. Are you aware a mayor is personally responsible for each employee acting as District of Saanich when they violate the rights of we the people? Are you aware a mayor is civilly liable and criminally responsible for offenses of public servants such as Mr. Murray, the sociopath, and others who made unwarranted contact March 8th, 2025 with this woman to attempt well, what are they doing, right? They started it. They started a fucking war. And they're continuing on with their bullshit. They're except where otherwise expressly provided by law. Well, none of this is law. None of this is law. This is legal garbage. It's fucking fantasy land here. The following provisions apply in respect of persons who attempt to commit or are accessories after the fact in the commission of offenses. Well, that's what's going on. All of the crimes begun by Daniel Carroll on September the 18th, 2018. Was it the 28th of September? Beg pardon if that date is a little bit off, but it was in September. Listen, it's in September of 2018. Daniel Carroll begins an act of fraud on the court to embezzle close to $750,000 from a man and a woman who have their property placed in a trust, so the property is untouchable. So that's what they're up to now. See, they've all decided to become accessories to what's going on here. So then what's going on? Well, so the poisonous pig is back at the door to intimidate. That's what's going on. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're all involved from the premier here in BC. The premier is involved in this. The BC Attorney General is involved in this, and you can look up who is acting in those reprobate rat roles right now. You've got a Solicitor General. You've got all these clowns pretending to be public servants. The BC NDP is a criminal organization run by criminals. So, they need to intimidate. They need to shut her up because she's a whistleblower. Should we go through this? Let's read it. Everyone is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term of not more than 5 years, or is guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction, who wrongfully and without lawful authority for the purpose of compelling another person to abstain from doing anything that they have a lawful right to do, or to do anything that they have a lawful right to abstain from doing, uses violence and threats of violence. Well, if there's a warrant, that's a threat of violence. They're planning on causing irreparable damage, irreparable harm to an innocent woman in order to keep her from doing what she has a lawful right to do, which is take possession, immediate fucking naked possession of the land that belongs to her and her spouse. Well, criminal harassment. Let's read that. Let's read what the fucking dogs have to say about criminal harassment. No person shall, without lawful authority. Sorry about the noise. And knowing that another person is harassed, or recklessly as to whether the other person is harassed, engage in conduct referred to in subsection 2, that causes the other person reasonably, in all the circumstances, to fear for their safety. Puh, no shit. The conduct mentioned: repeatedly following from place to place, repeatedly communicating, watching where they are. Well, that's exactly what's been happening. It's been happening for fucking years. This is what they're doing. These beast of Belial bullies with no hope and absolutely no fucking future at all. Well, they've already done it. Like, there's nothing to talk about. You know what you're doing. She told you to fuck off. She told you to go fuck yourselves. She told you who you are. She knows who you are. She knows what you are. And you're still continuing on? Completely fucking embarrassing yourselves? You fucking beasts? Brainless fucking beasts. You're bullies. We are satisfied you are aware of the notice of assignment to provide necessaries of life to foreign diplomat pursuant to criminal code. Let's see, what does this say? Well, that's right. If you're going to fucking aid and abet because you fucking pigs, pukes, and dogs knew in January of 2020 that fucking land was being stolen by an act of fraud on the court, and you became an accessory, you all became accessories, you then decided that you were going to provide necessaries of life. Well, because this woman has removed herself from that charge. Because the criminal organization doing business as the province of British Columbia does not even come anywhere near close to providing what is necessary to sustain life. And they do it on purpose, and they love doing it on purpose. But the ministers pretending to be the public servants all get 6 figures. Every single one of them, and they do abso-fucking-lutely nothing all day, every day for that 6-figure paycheck. And a pension. As to refuse is an offense of criminal negligence causing bodily harm, contrary to Section 221. Every person who by criminal negligence causes bodily harm, well, of course it causes bodily harm to not being provided necessaries of life. I mean, that's just common sense 101. Saturday, your partners in racially motivated, premeditated, violent hate crime should have been instructed to pick up letters from Wish or ULaw can provide $1,000 owed for March. You've got housing costs, and of course, they were here last November to completely fucking destroy private property so they could commit a violent hate crime. These are war criminals. These motherfuckers are militia. They are not peace officers. Peace officers wear plain clothes. Peace officers are not fucking armed. Yeah, they fucking strap arms to their fucking disgusting fucking base beast bodies. You've seen what they wear? It's fucking ridiculous. What are you wearing? What the fuck are you wearing? Nobody feels comfortable and nobody fucking feels safe when one of you fucking pigs, pukes, and dogs is anywhere in the vicinity. You are not peace officers. You are impersonating peace officers. That's a fucking crime. You brainless fucking beasts. You're fucking blind, you're deaf, and you're dumb. You have tried to fucking have a communication with these fucking dogs? No. So that's what you owe. There's fucking no warrant, bitch. It's quashed. You don't have a fucking case. Mr. Murdoch, this woman is attempting to save her own life, so if you do not respect the notice of assignment and your oath of office, you did commit an offense contrary to, well, you have to teach the fucking dogs the law. Impeding attempt to save life. Well, there you go. If this woman is telling you that she can't sustain her life because of what you have willingly, knowingly done in order to end her life, but wait a minute, the beasts actually believe that they are above the law. So would the victim of the crime then, in this case, be impersonating the public? Because only the victim of the crime can be the prosecutor. Mr. Murdoch, do you identify as a sovereign citizen? Do you understand what's going on, right? When you know that you're free and you know that you're one of the living, they're going to falsely accuse you of being a sovereign citizen. Now, sovereign citizens are vexatious litigants and they're also domestic terrorists. So what we've got here is fucking hypocrites. They're hypocrites. Because all of these public servants, well, we've proven it beyond all reasonable doubt that they are vexatious litigants. We've also proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are domestic terrorists. They're anti-government domestic terrorists. Because there's only one government. Those 10 commandments, that is the government. There is no government higher than that government. That is the government. Earlier in time, stronger in the law. That's a maxim of law. So enough is enough. And then, of course, you have to identify yourself. You need to know who you are. Foreign diplomat. Yeah, not from here. Can she prove that she's not from here? Yep. This woman is not going to make a claim unless she can prove her claim. So that goes out on the 12th. Then let's see what we have over here. Oh, look at this. This goes out on the 13th. Because we're being harassed. We're being harassed by the owners and staff at ULOC for payment. They can't take a valuable consideration. They're in possession of property obtained by crime. And yet, for way too long, this woman, in fear of losing the little she has left, has been using her necessaries of life to enrich persons who have known for fucking years that they are part and parcel to a crime. If you know about a crime and you don't report that crime, you become accessories to the offense. Because out in Langford, you've got the persons pretending to be, well, they're acting as the Wisher RCMP. Now, Kamloops is RCMP jurisdiction. So they don't have municipal police in Kamloops. It's RCMP that are supposed to, well, what the fuck are they supposed to be doing? Are they supposed to be protecting life and property? Are they supposed to be fucking investigating crimes? So September 28th, 2018, Mr. Daniel Carroll of Kamloops BC, using mails to defraud. Now, we've gone through this document. So I'm going to just quickly open this up. We're going to whip through this because we've already seen it. We've already all seen it. If you're invested in this war at all, bless you if you are. Bless you if you tune in to listen. That's what's most painful for our people, is the not being heard, the not being understood, the no support. Because we have to keep saying the same fucking thing, right? So these sovereign citizens are their vexatious litigants. They're anti-government domestic terrorists, and this is why now everything this woman has been gifted has been fucking robbed, unlawfully administered, so all these witches can get rich and leave the woman they hate with nothing, less than nothing. So that's what they're doing. It's fraud on the court. So all of their fucking orders are void. They're void from the beginning. So there's no time limit to set aside a judgment that was obtained by fraud on the court. So forced adoptions are all fraud on the court. Stealing interest, private property, so you can embezzle fucking however much you're going to be embezzling, that's all fraud on the court. And there's no time limit. None. There's no statute of limitations on the crime of fraud on the court. So this is a contract. Like, this is the court. This contract is the court. These are the rules of court, the rules of contract. You can't get around a contract. This is a man speaking. This is a man speaking. Everything that belongs to me belongs to the woman that I love. And everything that belongs to the woman that I love belongs to me. That's how it works. It's not fucking rocket science. I mean, it's 2 pages. It doesn't need to be complicated. Righteous people are not complicated people. Our minds don't fucking spin on stupid. Wet ink signature right there. Wet ink signature is the voice of a man. That is the court seal. That is the court seal. So what did you do? What did you do, Daniel Carroll? Oh, did you try to pretend that a personal line of credit is a mortgage so you could claim a fraudulent foreclosure, Daniel? Oh, Daniel, what did you do, and how many other fucking dogs were involved in your ugliness, Daniel? $130 a month is the mortgage payment. Well, allegedly this is a mortgage. You don't think a woman who's been paying her bills since she left home at 17 would be paying that bill if she actually ever received the bill? Get the fuck out of here. This is the level of fucking stupid we are. Hey, that's the brain of a snake. That's the brain of a snake. Just absolutely fucking stupid. Well, there is no mortgage. There is no mortgage. We can see right here. This is the receipt for the land. Here's the receipt for the land. Just like when you go to Walmart and get yourself some num-nums, you have a receipt. This is exactly the same thing. And then, of course, we have all the fucking legal rules. We have all the legal rules that say you can't come and steal that property. Because common law couples in BC have the same rights as the married ones. Yes. Shared debt's an asset. Right, shared. Victoria never shared this personal line of credit with her spouse. Victoria, being a beneficiary, is not liable to provide compensation for this personal line of credit. This is how they came and stole everything. This is how. Survivor rights. Well, this is exactly right. You've got the Land Spousal Protection Act. That act is supposed to protect women like myself from vultures like Daniel Carroll and all the other witches who walked away with fucking $750,000 that belongs to Jack and Victoria. Fraud unravels everything. Oh, does it? So saith the Supreme Court of Canada. Fraud unravels everything. So there was already cases about title and mortgage fraud. There was already cases about all of this. This has already been decided. Things invalid from the beginning cannot be made valid by subsequent act. Well, so every time that land was sold, it's fraud. And fraud unravels everything. Because they already decided about mortgage fraud in April of 2009, the BC Court of Appeal. The title has to be returned back to exactly the way it was. Victoria will be the one to decide when that gets changed. That's exactly what the contract says. This is not rocket science. And yet look at Micah. Micah is the one who points this out. Jesus points it out too. There's enough. Fucking watch out. Because the witches are going to try to come and steal everything. And that's exactly what they've done. So Jack and Victoria aren't like names on a page. They're not things. That's a man and a woman. Both of them hardworking people. Both of them doing the right thing and being a blessing to the communities that they were placed in. Neither of them ever harmed anyone. Neither of them ever harmed any property. They all did the right thing. The two of them did the right thing. And so yes, they have land and a security that they purchased in 2003. What is going on here? Jack is a man. Men and males are two different things. Like a man is not a thing, but like a male, that's something. It's a completely different species. Daniel CARROLL is a male. There's a male acting as mayor here in the District of Saanich. There's a male here acting as the chief of Saanich PD. They're not men. Neither of them are men. Oh, wait a minute here. Don't be a victim. What's going on here? So somebody's saying that there's an alarming increase in house thefts. But this woman is accused of being crazy? How can that be? Because you've had 2 fraudulent mortgages on Jack and Victoria's land. 2 of them. All started by Daniel CARROLL of Kamloops BC. Here we go right here. Here the lie starts September 2018, and this thing just everything that they put in, all of it paperwork, it's an administrative process, all of it was lies from the beginning. All of it was fraud from the beginning. All of it. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth. So Victoria went in multiple times into the synagogue of Satan at 850 Burdett Avenue and rebutted all of their lies. And the clergy, the cursed clergy, the beast of Belial benchers, aided and abetted all of this. They wouldn't listen. They wouldn't even read the applications. They mocked Victoria and Jack. They committed breach of contract, every single one of them, and there was lots of them. We've already gone through all this. I mean, look what they're doing. They're just absolutely... Oh, so what's this here? We've got... The Supreme Court of British Columbia approved a sale? Well, there is no such thing as the Supreme Court of British Columbia. There's a bunch of blind, brainless beasts identifying as benchers. A bencher is a banker. And we know exactly who that was that day. We know exactly who that was. It was a male monkey. It was a male monster, a malicious male monster who doesn't even fucking know what's going on. So you went and got a court order with fraud on the court? Congratulations, Puke. Congratulations. Oh, and this thing right here, hand delivered this to Victoria, that she's got less than 2 weeks to leave her security, her family's security. And here's the writ of possession, dated March the 9th. Not signed. That's not signed. That's not properly signed. See? That's not properly signed. What are you doing here? Oh, you've come to steal everything. Oh, you're cute. David Eby, involved in all of this, in all of it. So they've committed perjury. Oh, you don't think that the liars steal everything from everyone? They actually do. They do it all the time. 10 years ago, it was 160 million that they had robbed from innocent men and women. What's that number at now? More than likely quadrupled. More than likely. Because remember, these are sovereign citizens we're dealing with. These are vexatious litigants. These are anti-government domestic terrorists we're dealing with. And everything they do is an administrative process. It's just, it's legal. It's paperwork. It's legal. Possession of property obtained by a crime. Trafficking in property obtained by a crime. Possession of property obtained by a crime for the purpose of trafficking. Hey. That's what they're doing. Mortgage fraud. Yeah. Oh, and mortgage fraud gets worse every year. We got 18% year-over-year increase in fraud. Because the pathetic, profane parasites identifying themselves as police are criminals. So here we go. So Howfam Holdings is a criminal organization in possession of property obtained by crime. They're racketeering. That's what they're doing. So there's Jack and Victoria's security. It's been their security since January of 2003. So Victoria has repeatedly attempted to take back her possession because that's her job. That's what she does. That's the contract she's enforcing. Victoria identifies rightfully as a peace officer. Unlike these fucking brainless beasts. So why is she going? Why is she going and taking the property back in August of last year? Well, because she has a right and a duty to protect her life. And she doesn't need to go get a fucking court order from the cursed clergy. Synagogue of Satan. We don't prescribe to your fucking religion. We don't subscribe to your fucking reprobate rat religion. So they're obstructing justice. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it again. So they came back last fucking on the 8th of March to do the same fucking thing. How many times has Victoria said to get the fuck out of here? How many times has Victoria been violently, viciously assaulted by sovereign citizens who identify themselves as Victoria Police Department, Saanich Police Department? We're sorry, we don't recognize fictions. That's not your fucking name. What's your fucking name? What's your number? You have a number. You all have numbers. Like this fucking Rob Winter. What's your number? June 28th, again, she's there. She's trying to get her security back. Benjamin Howe refuses to show up. You're trespassing. That's what you're doing. You're trespassing. This is the Trespass Act. Mischief. Your rights are your property. Rights are property. Your time is your property. What you know to be true is your property. Again, you get the fucking shit. The propaganda that they put out to the public is just, I mean, who in their right fucking mind believes any of this garbage posted by these fucking reprobates acting as the RCMP? That's a criminal organization. You have no idea the level of ugliness that those persons are involved in. But this is now the age of information. It's not like they can hide it anymore. People who know are talking about it. Well, Victoria's dealing with dangerous offenders, right? She does all this work. All this work. And she's still dealing with dangerous offenders. This thing knew? Oh, absolutely it knew. Victoria went in there and said, there's crime in process. Well, we don't fucking care. We don't care. Crime in progress. We don't care. Oh, look at here. Here's a male monkey. Here's two of them. Two male monkeys. Collecting a paycheck from criminal organization, District of Saanich. So they're obstructing justice. That's what they're up to. Proof of ownership. Well, Jack and Victoria have proven consistently and repeatedly proof of ownership. So they're still doing the same fucking thing, conspiracy to defraud. And here's all the charges. So this is the reason why, at the end of August last year, that Victoria is immediately surrounded by war criminals, by domestic terrorists, who are all armed and dangerous, and all are premeditating to cause Victoria harm, or are all premeditating to rob her of her and Jack's security. Where the house wheels, they have to steal that too, and they're going to completely destroy it before they do that. So they're already guilty. And do you notice the names here? You've got the male monster Manic, the male monster Murdoch, and this other fucking degenerate Duthie. They're criminals, man. This is why now they're flipping the script and trying to convince everybody that it's Victoria, the foreign diplomat, who's the criminal, who's done nothing wrong, nothing. So that's why they're there. Because Victoria has to act as the prosecutor. She's a special prosecutor. She's been sent from a foreign kingdom to be a prosecutor. So they don't do their jobs. Offenses of violence. Well, there we go. Group violence. They're guilty. And they're still doing the same fucking thing. A key societal right for all people is the right to be free from unconsented invasions of their physical security and dignity. Well, why the fuck is that fucking malicious fucking male, Murray, with a couple of other pigs, why are they back at the door on March the 8th? Disturbing, well, committing common nuisance, committing intimidation, committing uttering threats. Why are they still doing the same fucking thing? Good character? From the head hog. So who the head hog is who all the other dogs are. Not one of them is of good character. Not one of them. So if Victoria doesn't resist all of this, they're going to force her to become parties to the offense. Victoria will never listen to anything that these brainless beast benchers, the cursed clergy, are telling her to do. Never. Ever. Because if she does, then she can't hold them accountable for their ugliness and their hatred and their persecution. It's a malicious prosecution. They're wasting the taxpayer dollars. They're wasting the court's time. It's an abusive process. They don't even follow their own fucking rules. Offenses against rights of property. So do you notice how that these brainless beasts are protecting the criminal? The bully, Benji the Heathen Howe. That's what they're doing. Because this went out before August of last year. And they retaliated. Well, retaliation is a hate crime. Retaliation is discrimination. So they're planning on more forcible confinement and kidnapping of an innocent woman. I mean, look at all the charges against the bully Howe, the bully Benji the bully. Look at them all. I mean, Acting and consenting parties are liable to the same punishments. A person aiding and abetting the actual commission of a crime, either at the scene of its commission or elsewhere, is equally liable as the perpetrator. This is why Victoria will never fucking consent. Victoria is never going to fucking show up. She's never going to fucking accept an invitation to the synagogue of Satan. They're religious. Oh, yes, they are. Their religion is Satanism. Private prosecution. Now, do you realize that these criminals acting as prosecutors, these criminals pretending to be the attorney generals in BC, they allege that the victims of war crimes need their consent to prosecute war criminals. That would be obstructing justice. That's a fucking crime. And you're all criminals. You're all brainless beasts. Well, we're foreigners. The practice of law is an occupation of common right. That's where that comes from. Attorney in fact. Although we don't deal in facts. We deal in the truth. So what you'll hear by these cursed clergy members, the brainless beast benchers, is you can't practice law. You don't have a license. Only our filthy fascist fucking friends are allowed to be in the synagogue of Satan. Really? Wow, you believe your own shit, don't you? You like the taste of that vomit, don't you? You puke. Yeah, okay, let's see here. Where did we go from here? So Daniel Carroll, on the we just saw the letters we're going to be using in this correspondence here. Let's see what Daniel Carroll did. Now we're going to make sure we go through every single one of these. Using mail to defraud. Every person who makes use of the mail for the purpose of transmitting or delivering letters or circulars concerning schemes devised or intended to deceive or defraud for the purpose of obtaining money under false pretenses. Oh, gee, Daniel, that's really too bad, Daniel. It looks like you didn't think it through. Hey, puke. So Daniel is intimidating. Let's see what this says here. Intimidation. Well, Daniel's using threats and violence. Daniel has chosen violence. He's intimidating Victoria to pay money her and her family don't owe. Let's see here. He's going to commit mischief. So mischief is, Daniel has committed mischief. Daniel has willfully obstructed, interrupted, and interfered with the enjoyment of Jack and Victoria's property. That's exactly what he's done. And then he continues, as this what's happening currently. So the two female benchers we've dealt with, the two female prosecutors we've dealt with, and these two impersonators of Victoria, they're all guilty of obstructing, interrupting, and interfering with Victoria and Jack's lawful use, enjoyment, and operation of that land, of that lot. They're all guilty, every single one of them, and that includes Delmanic, pretending to be City of Victoria, and Dean Duthie, pretending to be the chief of the criminal cabal, Saanich Police. But isn't it funny that Victoria is the one who's being charged? So under false pretenses is a crime. Let's take a look at that. A false pretense is a representation of a matter, a fact, whether present or past, made by words or otherwise, that is known by the person who makes it to be false, and that is made with a fraudulent intent to induce whoever they're attacking, to whom it is made to act on it. Yeah, it's still going on. False pretenses. They all know they're fucking lying. They know that they're willfully being dishonest. Let's see here. False information. We have to go through all the crimes they've committed. False information. Everyone commits an offense who, with intent to injure or alarm, conveys information that they know is false or causes such information to be conveyed by letter or any means of... Okay, so when you come out of the synagogue of Satan after you've been falsely charged and kidnapped and fucking unlawfully confined and the whole torture, the whole fucking 9 yards, you got paperwork filled with lies. That conveys information that they know is false. So that's false information. Victoria's got a whole pile of, she showed it to you. You've seen it. So let's see here. We've got extortion. Or maybe this is criminal harassment. Well, extortion. That's what they're doing. Daniel Carroll tried to extort $40,000. That was a no. The last time Victoria was forced to attend the synagogue of Satan, so the cursed clergy could poison this innocent woman, they attempted to extort Victoria of $500 if she refused to become parties to their offenses. Everyone commits extortion who, without reasonable justification or excuse and with intent to obtain anything, by threats, accusations, menaces, and violence. So if you don't come to the invitation to the fucking synagogue of Satan in December, we're going to extort you of $500. Are you? You're threatening? You're using menaces? You're using false accusations and violence? Go and fuck yourselves. Go fuck each other, go fuck yourselves. So let's see here. What's the next one here? Well, we just need to show how fucking ugly they are. Well, the criminal harassment, right? This was the same when Victoria's son was kidnapped. The same thing happened, exactly. Exactly the same process went down. Victoria's being harassed continually. Continually. Criminal breach of trust. Everyone who, being a trustee of anything for and used or benefit. Everyone who, being a trustee of anything for the use or benefit, whether in whole or in part, of another person, or for a public or charitable purpose, converts with intent to defraud, and in contravention of his trust, that thing or any part of it, to a use that is not authorized by the trust, is guilty of an indictable offense. Criminal breach of trust. So we're not sure how much scripture you're aware of, but it's written that the poor are hated. So what they've done with these false allegations that Jack and Victoria owe CIBC $40,000 on a personal line of credit that they don't owe, you've got Daniel Carroll and all the other witches. They're guilty of publicly inciting hatred because they've committed statements so all that paperwork, that's filed publicly. That's filed in the whorehouse in the Synagogue of Satan at 850 Burdett Avenue. Yeah. And that incites hatred against Jack and Victoria. That they've now fucking lost their land to foreclosure when there's no way that could ever happen. And it's a willful promotion of hatred. And that's exactly why Dean Murdoch and Dean Duthie premeditated to have lying in wait, war criminals, male and females impersonating peace officers at the end of August last year. Retaliation. October 19th, 2018, Mr. Daniel Carroll did commit defamatory libel against the Honorable Jack Daley by lying the man was losing our security due to default on interest private mortgage-free security, contrary to publishing. A person publishes a libel when they exhibit it in public, causes it to be read or seen, shows or delivers it, or causes it to be shown or delivered with intent that it should be read or seen by any person. So these warrants that are being issued for the unlawful, unwarranted arrest of a foreign diplomat in Victoria, the woman you're listening to, that's the crime that they're committing. It's libel. That's all public. So Mr. Daniel Carroll did commit extortion by libel, contrary to extortion by libel. Everyone commits an offense who, with intent to extort money, to induce a person to confer or on, procure for another person an appointment or office of profit or trust, publishes or threatens to publish or offers to abstain from publishing or to prevent the publication of a defamatory libel. Fuck, who writes this fucking garbage? Anyway, you get the point, right? So all that paperwork Victoria's handed when she's forced to fucking attend the synagogue of Satan, that's the crime of extortion by libel. And those benchers, those females who don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about, that don't have a fucking clue what they're doing, they're guilty of extortion by libel. BC prosecutors are the same fucking deal. The defense counsel impersonating a living woman. Same idea. October the 29th, 2018, Mr. Gray MACK of Kamloops BC did commit fraudulent concealment of a non-negotiable contract signed and sealed January 27, 2016 by the Honorable Jack Daley, contrary to Section 341. Every person who, for fraudulent purposes, takes, obtains, removes, or conceals anything is guilty. Oh, when Victoria went to court, after they just refused to stop, and she said that to one of these cursed clergy, the cursed clergy acting as the bench, the male monster gaslit Victoria and said that that was a lie. But we all saw. Victoria showed you. November 27th, 2018, Mr. Daniel Carroll did commit identity theft. It's identity fraud. Contrary to Section 402, identity theft. Well, Daniel Carroll is now impersonating Jack Daley. Daniel Carroll is now impersonating Victoria. Identity theft. Well, because he needs to defraud. So this is clarification. Look at this. Perjury, because Daniel's committing perjury. Daniel's committing theft. Daniel's committing forgery. It's false pretense and false statements. Trafficking or possession of forged documents. Yeah, fraud, identity fraud. Well, when they committed title fraud, that's exactly what they were up to. Identity fraud. Yeah, you're not Jack Daley or his spouse, but look what you've done. Look what you've done, Daniel. Daniel Carroll's a sovereign citizen. It's called to the barf. Everyone commits an offense who fraudulently personates another person living or dead. The same thing happens when you go and hire a barf member. They're committing identity fraud. So which one are you? Are you living or are you dead? Can you handle your own affairs? Yes or no? Because they presume and assume, they all run on presumption and assumption that you're an infant, like an imbecile. So they decide what happens to you, and you have no say in any of it. And that goes for civil and criminal. So with intent to gain advantage for themselves, with intent to obtain any property, with intent to cause a disadvantage, with intent to avoid arrest or prosecution. So these males and females, these monkeys, who represent the public, that's identity fraud. That's identity fraud. We just read it right here. This is the level of fucking intelligence we're dealing with, folks. This is the level of intelligence. Did commit criminal breach of contract, contrary to Section 42. Sorry, Section 422. Criminal breach of contract. Everyone who willfully breaks a contract. Well, to endanger Victoria's life, to cause serious bodily injury, to expose valuable property to destruction, to deprive the inhabitants. You don't want to be one of those. That's what they're doing. They all did it. All of them. Oh, you know their names if you've gone through any of the documents. Victoria, she posts her documents in the description box. So you can see and learn that she's not a liar. She's not going to waste your time. She cares for you too much to do that to you. So, did commit destruction of title document, contrary to section destroying documents of title. So that's what they did when they committed application and title fraud. They destroyed Jack and Victoria's title document, land title. Can you imagine? Conceals it, fraudulent concealment right there. We can read it. Did commit drawing document without authority. It gets better, doesn't it? It just gets better and better. Drawing document without authority. Everyone who, with intent to defraud and without lawful authority, makes, executes, draws, signs, accepts, or endorses a document in the name or on the account of another person. So this, there is a male monkey who is like the head of the land title office in Victoria here, accepted these fraudulent documents, so it would be guilty as well. I can't think of your name right now. Did file with Victoria Registry false statements contrary to section 362. Let's take a look here. False pretense or false statement. Everyone commits an offense who, by false pretense, whether directly or through the medium of a contract obtained by a false pretense, obtains anything in respect of which the offense of theft may be committed or causes it to be delivered to another person. Yep. Did commit fraudulent registration of title contrary to Section 386. Fraudulent registration of title. That's exactly what they've done. Every person is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for the term not more of 5 years, or summary conviction, which is 2 years less a day, as principal agent or mandatory in a proceeding to register title to real property or immovable property, or in a transaction relating to real property. So the 2 real estate agents who knew that property was being stolen, the banker who registered the first fraudulent mortgage, November 28th, 2019, Mr. Daniel Carroll did commit fraudulent sale of real property contrary to Section 387. Again, you've got the real estate agents all involved in this. You've got court registry staff involved in all of this. That's what they did. And did register fraudulent receipts, land, title, bank, mortgage, contrary to Section 390. Fraudulent receipts under Bank Act. You've ever gone through that Bank Act? We encourage you to do so. It's a fucking joke. Oh, apparently the bank is determined to be a natural person as opposed to an artificial person. Whether it's red or green, an apple is still an apple, right? Like it's still a fiction. It's still a corporation. So that's what they did. And Victoria kept saying no. They kept demanding Victoria sign their fraudulent as fuck demonic documents and send them back. And not once did Victoria ever sign, because Victoria never once consented to any of this. March 9th, 2020, Mr. Daniel Carroll counseled offenses against interest private security. There's the location of the stolen property. The true owners, Jack Daley and Victoria, contrary to Section 22. Person counseling offense. So Daniel is the male monster counseling offenses, as is the registrar of the Victoria Registry counseling offenses against an innocent woman. So they can steal her security. And they all know what they're doing. At this point, Victoria has been into the synagogue of Satan multiple times to stop this, including filing an injunction. And she was told by a female filthy fuck to go fuck herself. Well, of course we're going to steal the house. Of course we're going to embezzle all the money. We're blah, blah, blah. We're immune. Oh, it gets worse for Daniel. Here's Section 328. Shall we have a little gander and see what that says? Theft by or from a woman having special property or interest. Well, there you go. There it is there. By one of several joint owners. Tenants in common. Or partners of or in it from the other person. Yeah, this has been going on for years. Well, you saw the dates. Oh, they also stole the house car that day. On March the 19th, they stole the house car. You had to pay for their, because fucking embezzling $700,000 from the fraudulent sale of interest private property is just not enough for these witches. So they also have to steal. Not a motor vehicle. It's an automobile. We don't play this little sick fucking game. You gotta realize that the difference between languages, there's commercial language and then there's private people language. Or private people. We live in the private. Taking an automobile without consent. So at no time did Victoria provide her consent to any of this, at no time. And that was including the morning these malicious male monkeys descended upon Victoria. There was a handful of them. So Victoria made phone calls that morning on March 19th, 2020, and guess what? There was nothing open. There was nothing open. There was no criminal organization, government service offices open. Everything was shut down. So why the fuck are they at Victoria's home? And the first two never lived inside Victoria's home. They never lived in the house. They were using it to launder $750,000. It's a real problem here in the province of British Columbia. That's why they had a Cullen inquiry. That did nothing, by the way. It was a waste of time and a waste of money. Just like all the government reports are. March 19th, 2020. Well, you've got a brainless beast bailiff who's obviously spoken to Daniel CARROLL at length multiple times. And Victoria said no, no, you can't steal the house. No, you get I have nowhere to go. They've stolen all the proceeds. They've stolen every dime. Puke didn't care. So we've got here all 5 of those brainless beasts that were in that house are all parties to the offense. Everyone is a party to an offense who actually commits it or abets any person in committing it. Victoria said, no, get out. Well, no, we were here to steal your house. So then we've got this Peter Innes, right? He's a bailiff. Did trespass and commit common nuisance, contrary to Section 180. Common nuisance. Every person is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for not term of more than 2 years. Well, it's the same for summary conviction. Who commits a common nuisance and by doing so endangers the lives, safety, and health of any man or woman or causes physical injury to anyone. Definition. Let's see here. For the purpose of this section, everyone commits a common nuisance who does an unlawful act or fails to discharge a legal duty and thereby endangers the lives, safety, health, property, or comfort of anyone, obstructs the public in the exercise or enjoyment of any right that it's common. So every time these brainless beast bullies who impersonating peace officers show up at the door here and fucking bang on the door as loud as they fucking can. Every single time they do that, they are committing common nuisance. Every time Victoria was contacted by Daniel CARROLL, by Bradley Walker and fucking Jay Yoon and all the other fucking savages who came and trespassed and went through Jack and Victoria's home, that's common nuisance. Every fucking time Victoria went into this fucking synagogue of Satan at 850 Burdett Avenue to try to have a constructive conversation with the clergy acting as the bench. And Victoria was mocked, denied due process, denied her inalienable fucking rights. That's the crime of common nuisance. The false charges. the false fucking arrests, the unwarranted fucking prosecution, malicious prosecution. That's common nuisance. Oh, but wait, we're dealing with sovereign citizens. So, all 5 of those bullies that were inside that day on March 19th, 2020, it's the crime of forcible entry, contrary to Section 72. We're talking about a war crime. This is a war crime that they've committed. Forcible entry. A person commits forcible entry when that person enters real property that is in the actual and peaceable possession of another in a manner that is likely to cause a breach of the peace. Well, if you were fucking disturbing Victoria's peace, that's a breach of the peace. Offenders did rob Jack and Victoria contrary to, let's see here, Section 343, well, robbery. We've got a robbery in progress. Everyone commits robbery who steals for the purpose of extorting whatever is stolen, or to prevent or overcome resistance to the stealing, uses violence or threats of violence to anyone or to the property. So at the end of August last year, those witches impersonating peace officers had premeditated to commit robbery of Jack and Victoria's second house car. Victoria had every right to defend their property and was never going to get out of that property. Victoria did never willfully obstruct the clueless coven of criminals doing business as Criminal Organization District of Saanich. So it's also theft, right? It's the offense of theft, contrary to Section 322. Everyone commits theft who fraudulently and without color of right takes, or fraudulently and without color of right converts to their use or to the use of another anything, whether animate or inanimate, with intent to deprive temporarily or absolutely the owner or those who have special property or interest in it of the thing or of their property or interest in it. Well, how do you like them apples? Once the bailiff moved private property without consent of the owners, and of course Jack spoke, no consent. Victoria spoke, no consent. The King of Kings, who is the lawgiver and the judge, never consented to any of this. So now we've got an offense. An offense contrary to Section 358. For the purpose of Section 342 and 54 and paragraph 356, 1b, the offense of having in possession is complete when a person has, alone or jointly with another person, possession of or control over anything mentioned in those sections, or when they aid in concealing or disposing of it, as the case may be. So everything that was moved in a moving truck out of Jack and Victoria's security on that date, that was then delivered to West Shore ULOC. They are in possession of property obtained by crime, and they cannot receive a valuable consideration to hold that property. Did commit trafficking in property obtained by crime, contrary to Criminal Code, Section 355.2. Trafficking in property obtained by crime. Well, that's what they're doing. That happened with the both of them. Both house cars that were robbed, that were thieved by covens of criminals. This is what they did. Why are they above the law? Why are they impersonating peace officers and yet claim that they are peace officers? Why don't they follow their oath of office? So they're just all going to get away with this? Every single fucking one of them? Including David Eby? And all those fucking cursed creatures? The clergy acting as the bench? Well, what religion are they practicing in a whorehouse? In a law court building, what religion are they practicing? It's Satanism. They're Satanists. So they did commit commission of offense for a criminal organization. So criminal organization. So the Supreme Court of British Columbia is a criminal organization. CIBC is a criminal organization. Fulton and Company is a criminal organization. BC&DP is a criminal organization. The District of Saanich is a criminal organization. The City of Victoria is a criminal organization. BC Sheriffs, quite obviously, are a criminal organization. Every person who commits an indictable offense under this or any other act of Parliament for the benefit of, at the direction of, or in association with a criminal organization is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 14 years. Is that right? Who fucking made up those rules? March 19th, 2020, persons employed by West Shore ULOC did accept property obtained by false pretenses. You realize that Victoria stood there shortly after that date, crying her eyes out, explaining to the staff that she's been robbed and that she's now homeless and that she has been left with nothing as far as financial resources. It was like fucking crickets. Crickets. Possession of property obtained by crime. Everyone commits an offense who has in their possession any property or thing or any proceeds of any property or thing, knowing that all or part of the property or thing or of the proceeds was obtained by or derived directly or indirectly from a commission of an offense punishable by indictment. The question is, was Victoria present on March 19, 2020, when Jack and Victoria's stolen property was delivered to West Shore ULOC? She was not there. She was not there. She didn't even know where her property had gone until days later. So Victoria didn't deliver the property. To be informed, well, we just went over this. So because they didn't report the crime and they knew the crime had been committed, how did they get possession of the property obtained by the crime? So now what we've got is, ULOC is a family business. And quite a few of the locations in BC are owned by the family. It looks like the West Shore ULOC location is privately owned by others. So you see, you become an accessory. Because if you know about a crime and you don't report that crime, and they would have to report that crime to West Shore RCMP, and they just don't, they won't. You become then an accessory to the crime in contravention of Section 463. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Participating in activities of criminal organizations, because they are all about making sure that Victoria pays, and she can't. Every person who, for the purpose of enhancing the ability of a criminal organization to facilitate or commit an indictable offense under this or any other act of Parliament, knowingly, by act or omission, participates in or contributes to any activity of the criminal organization. That's what's going on. So the mayor of Langford knows about this. Someone from the West Shore RCMP is receiving correspondence from Victoria regarding this. The owners and staff of West Shore ULOC are in possession of this correspondence. No person may receive valuable consideration when in possession of property obtained by a crime. To menace and threaten Victoria to pay storage locker fees is the offense of extortion, contrary to Section 467.12, commission of offense for criminal organization. To demand this woman provide financial resources she does not have impedes her attempt to save her own life, contrary to Section 262. Well, that's why Victoria kept saying something when they were stealing everything. That's why Victoria fought for her son, knowing full well that their intention was to murder both Victoria and her son. So that's what they're doing here. Isn't that interesting that they don't care? Everyone makes choices. No one is free from the consequences of their actions. Knowing to be guilty silences complicity. Why continue to double down, being aware you are causing Victoria, a stranger in need of protection, irreparable harm? We know and understand why we are hated. Well, pretty obviously, right? How else? How are you going to explain all of this? Because we can explain it. We're the ones who know. That's one of the virtues of being one of the peculiar people, knowledge. Do you know what that feels like? Yes, you. To live every day in fear for your life. Okay, so there is a punctuation error right there. That should not be a question. Just a statement like to live every day in fear for your life. The persecution, abuse of power, police brutality, outrageous violence by public servants has an innocent woman in dorsal vagal shutdown. So you can look that up if you want to, dorsal vagal shutdown. Congratulations. Well, yeah. Victoria of the Honorable House of Daley. This is who she is. This is what she does. Now let's take a look at an actual legitimate courtroom. Let's look at an actual proper procedure where due process is granted. So this is how the courts are supposed to run. And this is exactly why we refer to the Ten Commandments as the common law, because there is one law for the righteous and the wicked. That's in the book of Numbers. You don't add or take away from the living law because it's perfect. That's also written down. You don't ever appoint anybody who doesn't understand common law. All the judges have to be experts in the common law. A judge must evaluate according to common law. They're not to judge a matter until it's been fully investigated. You don't pervert justice, ever, to anyone. You must not be afraid to administer common law judgment. That includes death sentences, by the way. Yeah. Exodus 22:18. Yeah. Leviticus 18:10. You're not going to deny justice to the poor. You're not going to show partiality to the rich. You're not going to show pity to the guilty. You're not going to accept false testimonies. You're not going to condemn innocent and righteous people. You're not going to accept bribes. You're not going to judge a matter on the testimony of one witness or on circumstantial evidence. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. When required, you must administer appropriate punishment. You're not going to fail to report evil by wrongdoers not following the common law or testify in an investigation against those who refuse the common law. You're not going to rebel against teachings of the Almighty's anointed peculiar people. Jesus talks about that. You're not going to fail to carry out sentences of judgment according to common law. Capital punishment, man. Purge. You're not going to administer more punishment than common law allows. You're going to treat foreigners. You're not going to mistreat foreigners living in your land. You're not going to take advantage of widows and orphans. You're not going to give false testimony. So death is the punishment for kidnapping. If you sell the victim you kidnapped, or if you're caught with the victim, the penalty is death. Penalty for blasphemy, which is harming the righteous, peculiar people, the teachers who teach the living law. The punishment for blasphemy is death. When you're giving testimony, you have to speak the truth. Whoever is aware of evidence in a case must speak up and testify. Well, a liar is a murderer. It's a false witness, or judged according to common law. Again, that would be blasphemy, and the punishment for that is death. You're not to spread false reports. You're not to curse, revile, or rebel against, well, the peculiar people. You're not going to curse, revile, or rebel against authority and the peculiar people, those who follow, require, and demand common law. You're not going to curse or persecute righteous people. You're not going to murder. That's what lying is. Lying is murdering. You're not going to go about tale-bearing and slandering. You're not going to endanger anyone's life. You're not going to, you will not neglect to protect against hazards. Do not put one accused of murder to death before the common law judge hears the case. Well, the King of Kings sees everything. He's everywhere all the time. His eyes or ears, they're everywhere. He's recording everything. There's no getting away. Like, you can't hide. You can fucking run, but you're not going to ever hide. What's done in the dark is going to come into the light. So the evildoers better think about this. Oh, wait a minute, they're dead, so their brains aren't working. Okay, right, I got it. Common law concerning murderers. The murderer is to be handed over to the victim's family, who execute justice, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, stroke for stroke, fracture for fracture. It's up to the victim of the crime to execute the prosecution and then the punishment. There's no question. There is no question as to the punishment for the crime. There shouldn't be. So you're not going to accept ransom from one who willfully murders. Murderers must be surely put to death. Do not permit a male or female witch to live. Do not hate anyone in your heart. Correct your neighbor boldly when they do something wrong, so then you're not going to share their guilt. You're not going to bear hatred for anyone. You're not going to seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone. Well, see, that comes about when justice isn't served. When the common law isn't followed and justice isn't served, that's what ends up happening. That's a disturbance of the peace. You not mislead anyone by giving unlawful advice against the common law. So that's what happens when you go talk to one of these barf card carrying cursed creatures. They don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. They don't have a clue what they're doing. Do they have any first-hand knowledge of what's going on? No, so why are you talking to them? So now you're going to allow hearsay? Why would you do that? You can't handle your own affairs? Are you serious? Do not follow the crowd in doing evil by not following common law. You don't punish the innocent. You don't punish innocent victims of crime. Well, that's what they're doing right now by trying to accuse an innocent woman of criminal harassment, of Benji the bully, and apparently obstructing fucking thieves. A judge, do not judge another for the actions of their parents or their children. Do not strike or become violent with parents or disciples of common law. Do not use dishonest weights and measures. Do not possess inaccurate weights and measures. Do not curse the deaf. Do not accept ransom for one who killed accidentally. If you lend to my foreign common law teaching and preaching people, to any of these who are mine and poor among you, you don't act like a money lender. That's wickedness. So you understand what's going on, right, in these locations that are identifying as law courts. You understand page 183. You must conceal all the crimes of your brother. Canada boasts the most corrupt judiciary in the world, and that's no lie. They rank number 3 for trafficking children. And now, apparently, about twice a week, they're stealing securities from the true owners. Because it's, well, I mean, Isaiah is the one who points it out. Maxim of law, legality is not reality. Legal is fiction. A statute, well, that's a statue. Legislation is a leg of a statue, an act is an act of a statue. So do you notice how they're always talking about a person? A person isn't living. It's like an idol. Fiction must yield to truth. Things do not change their ownership when captured by pirates and robbers. Gross negligence is equivalent to fraud. Well, what is going on here? What is happening? The difference between what is lawful and what is legal is a matter of life and death. What is lawful is for the living people. What is legal is for dead corporate entities. Wow, really? They take each other to court unfairly. No one tells the truth. They accuse each other falsely and tell lies. They cause trouble and create evil. They hatch evil like eggs from poisonous snakes. If you eat one of those eggs, you will die. So that's the lie. If you eat the lie, if you accept the lie, and if you eat the lie, you're a goner. If you break one open, a poisonous snake comes out. Those savages tell lies as they would spin a spider's web. The webs they make cannot be used for clothes. You can't cover yourself with the webs. The things they do are evil. They use their hooves to hurt others. They eagerly run to do evil, and they're always ready to murder innocents. They think evil thoughts. Everywhere they go, they cause ruin and destruction. And yet they refer to themselves as peace officers. They don't know how to live in peace. Well, a cursed creature wouldn't have a clue. The cursed clergy, acting as the bench, don't have a clue what peace is or how to live in peace. And there's no fairness in their lives. They are dishonest. Anyone who lives as they live will never have peace.